So I got a nose job. Let's talk about it. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Megan May. I am a part-time content creator. I have been in the industry for about 5 years now. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, hello again. We're going to do something a little bit differently today because I am not doing a try-on haul. I am not talking to you about self-motivation. I am not talking to you about social media, and I am not talking to you about everyday lifestyle content. When I was younger, I had always wanted to get my nose done. And my mom had always said, like,
don't do it. You're beautiful in your own way.
And you know what? My nose was my biggest insecurity. I'll show you a before and after of my first rhinoplasty. I got one done last year. I was very secretive about it, kept it on the DL. No one knew except for my closest friends and family, obviously. But this was something that I had always wanted to do, and I did it privately through a clinic. I did a lot of research into my doctor. He is literally the best. This is not an ad. I paid for it with my own money. He actually told me a lot about my nose that I didn't even know I had an issue with. And so that was last December. I had my first rhinoplasty. I went in, he fixed the bridge of my nose because I had a bump. So he shaved that off. The tip of my nose, he didn't even know this until he pulled back and actually got in there. The tip of my nose had 3 times the amount of cartilage as a normal nose. So this was a birth defect that he didn't even know I had. I didn't know that I had, and my mom obviously didn't know that I had either. The surgery was like 3 hours. It was pretty intense. And then I came out of anesthesia, was there at the clinic for about an hour, and then they sent me home. I don't really remember much. I remember like feeling really shitty because anesthesia obviously like does that to you. And then I fell in love with my nose. The first side profile picture that I took of myself, I had never been so happy. I actually had like the most perfect side profile, and it just boosted my confidence so much to the point of like realizing like this is no longer an insecurity of mine, and it just like frees you. That's why like I advocate so much for like if you want to do surgery, if you want to change your look or whatever, like do it, because you're the one that's like looking in the mirror at yourself. Obviously, don't critique yourself to the point of like every little thing needs to change, but if it's a big insecurity and you want to fix it, do it, because your life will change. So fast forward to the healing process. It takes about a year for all of the swelling to go down and everything to like kind of settle into place. I had noticed that the bottom half of my nose was crooked and it went to the right side. I would notice this in all of my videos, any pictures that I took. It bothered me so much because I knew that I had already received a rhinoplasty, that I was like, why is my septum so crooked? So I went back to my doctor in April, May, and I said to him, like, the healing process is going really great. I love my new nose, but what is going on here? And he had booked me in for a septoplasty. So I did this surgery, like a week and a half ago now. So again, like in December, next year in December, I promise, no more surgeries. Like this is the second Christmas in a row that I've had a cast on my nose, and I'm over it. So no more surgeries around Christmas time, knock on wood, going forward. So we booked it for December 19th. And this time it was at the hospital because I went in for a day surgery. This was covered through the healthcare system. I didn't have to pay out of pocket. It wasn't done privately because it had an impact on my breathing. Knock on wood, we fixed it. He said that he was very happy with the work that he did. He did end up fixing my bridge a little bit more, the tip of my nose a little bit more, and then fixed the straightness of it as well. That was his main concern. I haven't seen what my nose looks like without my cast. Today is day 5, so I'm going to take it off today. Hopefully be very careful with it. I'm going to tell you about my hospital experience this time around. So my mom and I, we get there. You have to be there 3 hours early. You can't have any drink food, anything 12 hours prior to your surgery. So they basically, for good measure, they say don't have anything past midnight the night before your surgery. Woke up the day of the surgery feeling great, feeling really calm. I showered, didn't put any deodorant on, no creams, no perfume, no nothing. I put my hair in 2 braids, and then my mom picked me up. We went to the hospital. I checked in at the admission. We went upstairs. They gave me a gown and a robe, so I had to change into that. So this is the reason why you have to take off your bra and your underwear when you have the gown on and the house coat, because they don't want to contaminate the OR. It's different because when I went to the private clinic, I was allowed to keep those garments on. So it was just kind of strange to me that I had to take them off. So I did ask for hospital underwear, and they gave me pants as well. So I like had all of the stuff on underneath, just because I was like, it's my nose. Like, why does that need to be exposed? So anyways, thought that was a bit strange, but we worked through it. I found out that my doctor was doing 3 surgeries that day. I was the second. He was doing a rhinoplasty, a septoplasty, and then I think another rhinoplasty after mine. But I was booked in for 2.5 hours, which I felt was a lot of time for a septoplasty in comparison to the person before me who was getting a septoplasty and a rhinoplasty. But I guess everyone's nose and everyone's operations are different. So I was just grateful that he had given me that much time, because obviously he wanted to do other things other than just a septoplasty. So I appreciated that a lot. And then an hour before my surgery, I just got to like chill with my mom in a waiting room. And then someone had called me. My mom and I and the nurse, we walked to basically the OR waiting room. My mom was not permitted in this section of the hospital, so she had to leave. We said goodbye. And then I ended up sitting in a waiting room where it was just me, this little old lady, she was so cute, and then this like other gentleman. It's so interesting to see and like hear conversations, because obviously like I don't have my phone with me, and just like hearing this little lady, she had surgery done 30 years ago, and the doctor that did the surgery was a father and his son. And now 30 years later, she was back for another surgery, and this time it was the son that was performing the surgery. So I just thought that that was really wholesome and like a full circle moment. It was super cute for her to like talk to him and hear all this happening. And then the anesthesiologist, he came out, I talked to him, and then my doctor came out, I talked to him. I just told him a little bit of my concerns of what I was like seeing in my nose, to reiterate what he was doing. So we were both on the same page going forward into the OR, and then a nurse came out, grabbed me, and then I walked myself into the OR, up on the table, and that's all I really remember. I remember like getting the IV in, and then like the laughing gas, and then I remember waking up in the recovery room with like a whole bunch of other people. You have a nurse with you at all times. They are monitoring you. They are taking your vitals every 15 minutes. I had a nurse who kept telling me to breathe because my apnea, even though I don't have sleep apnea, this is just what they call it. My apnea, I was holding my breath for 50 seconds, and then I was gasping for air, and they couldn't put a face mask on me for obvious reasons. So they had to like put it underneath my chin. And so I was getting oxygen that way. But I remember just like panting. When I became a little bit more stable, the nurse told me that they could tell that I didn't do any recreational drugs, which I hold very proud, because I take such pride in my health and my body that hearing this comment just, it made my world. Apparently it was just because the way that my lungs were reacting to the anesthesia. And if I did do recreational drugs, they'd be able to tell, just because like I was riding the high differently than someone who does do that quite often. So I was very proud of that, even though I was quite anxious. Okay, so now to the funny part, because there was 2 incidences that made me cackle. One was when my mom and I were still in the waiting room before going into the OR. There was this lady who was in a surgical gown, so she was a patient, and she had walked in with a latte. And this nurse goes, "Are you drinking that?" And she goes,
"Yeah, my surgery's not until noon."
And the nurse goes, "You can't be drinking that." And my mom and I just look at each other like, are you stupid? All over the forms, it says don't have anything, no food, no drink from 12 p.m. the night before your surgery. Don't have anything. And even in your pre-op, when you speak to a nurse, they also reiterate that. Plus, it's also like common sense that you just don't do that. So it was funny because when I was in the OR waiting room, my surgeon came over to me and he was like,
You weren't the young lady that was drinking a latte, were you?
and I was like, no. But I told him like my mom and I had seen that and we both just like shook our heads. So that was a funny moment. I don't know if she ended up having surgery or not. I'm pretty sure she did because I think she only had like 1 or 2 sips. The second one, I cackle at this every single time I tell it. So when I was waiting in the, just before going into the recovery room, so we were all in these beds next to each other. And we had just all of us had come out of surgery, and there was this old man, and he was sleeping kind of with his eyes open, kind of not. And he was snoring so loud. I have never in my life heard someone who snores this loud. And I think the nurses also agreed with me, because everyone was like laughing at how hard this man was snoring. And then a couple beds down, it was the same gentleman who was in the OR waiting room with me, who was like this big, like muscly tattoo guy. And he just yells, he's like,
Holy fuck.
and I just die laughing every single time because I have never heard someone snore like that. And we were all just like kind of sleeping, waking up, and there was so many people around that it was just like, holy shit, is this real? Once I was stable enough, they wheeled me up to recovery. I was one of the last people to be wheeled up there only because I was sleeping a lot. And then I get a bit nauseous. So every time they inputted my IV with Gravol, I had to wait an extra 30 minutes. So it was just like a long process. In this recovery area, a new nurse was assisting me. She was, again, checking my vitals, said that they were beautiful. And then this room is more so like what you would imagine hospital recovery rooms to be. So it's like everyone's bed is separated by a curtain, but because I was one of the last people, they actually wheeled me into like a room. So I was looking, I still had a curtain across the front, but I was basically like looking down so I could see everyone else's beds. But yeah, it was nice because like I actually had like an enclosed space. And then my mom came and met me and the nurse. And then I had some apple juice, applesauce, some crackers just to get my blood sugars back up again. Once I was good, I ended up getting changed, went to the washroom with the nurse's assistants, and then my mom put me in a wheelchair, wheeled me out of that area. And at this time, the hospital doors, if it's not the main doors, they'll lock. So my mom and I, we parked in like, not where I was having surgery, not that parking lot, but like a one over. Those doors close earlier than the ones in the hospital building that I was at. So my mom and I, we went outside to cut across, and then those doors were locked. So then when we came back to the hospital doors where we just came from, those were also locked. So then she was like banging on the door. Luckily, there was a family walking by and they let us in. So I'm so grateful for that. And then we walked to the main area and actually had security escort us because they have access cards to get to places where it's restricted access after a certain time. So I was so grateful that they were able to then bring us to our car, because at this point I just wanted to be home. I was so done with the day because we got there at 10 a.m. My surgery wasn't until, it was at 12:30, scheduled for 12, got pushed to 12:30. I didn't actually go into the room until 1. And then I was in pre-recovery by 2:45, didn't go up to recovery until about 5:30, and then it was like 6:30, 7 o'clock by the time my mom and I were then leaving, and that's when like the doors, that whole situation happened. So then by the time we got to my mom's car and we actually left, I was so exhausted, I was nauseous, and I just wanted to be home. Didn't get home until I think around like 8 or just after 8. It was such a long day for me. And then for the next like 5 days, I like felt like shit because anesthesia just does that to me. And plus, when you get your nose done, you get a lot of dried blood and mucus that ends up like blocking your nasal passages. I had so much pressure in my head from not being able to breathe. It's just so uncomfortable for those 5 days. And then my doctor's admin assistant ended up contacting me and saying that I could get the packing removed on Christmas Eve. So it was a Christmas miracle. I just didn't want to have to wait until a couple more days after that. Obviously, they're closed for the holidays. Went in on Christmas morning, back to the hospital, went into minor surgery where they removed all of the dried blood, mucus, removed the packing. That felt like a really big brain booger. He put a new cast on, sent me on my way. My husband could already tell that I was feeling so much better. And it's quite funny to, when your senses, when one of them not being able to function properly, it's funny that like your other senses then pick it up. So for instance, when I can't breathe through my nose, I feel like my taste buds are just like heightened and super sensitive to the point where everything then tastes amazing. Once I could breathe out of my nose, we were walking past a cafe in the hospital and I just turned and I was like, oh my God, this smells delicious. Like it was the best thing I could have ever smelled in the entire world. But it's because I finally got those senses back. It's incredible. It's crazy how the body just works and figures that out. But that's basically my surgery from A to Z. I would do it again. Not that I need to, and hopefully I won't have to. But I just think it's such a short-term pain for long-term gain. And hopefully I trust my surgeon enough that this hopefully will be the last time and I won't have to have any more nose procedures. I'm really excited to take my cast off today because it has been that 5-day mark since the packing came out and since the new cast has been on. My surgeon is truly the best. This is obviously the second time seeing him. I put so much faith in him and I truly could not have asked for a better surgeon. I just feel like he really takes care of his clients and he is so precise. He has so much knowledge that I've even seen him give to his like resident doctors that there's just no one else that I would rather touch my face than Dr. David McKenzie. If you are looking for a surgeon here in Calgary, he is absolutely incredible. He knows what the heck he's doing. He is so skilled, so knowledgeable, very educated. He's just the best. And I couldn't ask for a better surgeon. This is just kind of like my journey of having a rhinoplasty and then having a septoplasty. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below and I'll be sure to answer them. If you want to change something about yourself, like I mentioned earlier, and you believe that this will give you a better quality of life, then 100% do it. I can't tell you how much this boosted my confidence. And it's like, why wait? Like, there's no perfect time to do this, so just do it. Obviously, think about it. Make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. But I am a big advocate for putting your life in your own hands. And if this is something that you want to do, then go for it. Because at the end of the day, you're the one looking in the mirror. You're the one who has to live with yourself for the rest of your life. I will keep you guys updated with the process, but this is the side profile. I can't wait to take my cast off. So like I said, if you guys do have any questions, please put them in the comments below and I will be sure to respond back. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I will catch you guys in the next one with my perfect nose. Megan May out.